Yeah, Will and Martin went through practice. Gafford did some individual workout, and Kai and Exum are out.
What's going to be the focus between, or what has been the focus starting today and going up until the opener?
Yeah, I think today was more review, some cleanup stuff, watching the video from the last game, things that we did well, and then things that we have to continue to keep working at. I thought it was good today. I thought guys did a really good job in the film room, and then bringing that information onto the court.
Everybody always asks, does a team have an identity? Does this team have an identity? Is it too early yet?
Yeah, we're always looking to, label something, and so identity is in search right now. I think understanding goals and things that we're talking about, being the best defensive team in the league or one of the best, understanding what that takes, and so hopefully here in the next couple of weeks we can start identifying who we are as a team.
What are some of the advantages of having that tall ball lineup?
Yeah, the big group, being able to play a little bit faster than probably expected, defensively setting the tone, and then being able to rebound the ball on both ends.
Jason, you said, as early as June, we're going to put the ball in Cooper's hands a little bit. I mean, how did you know right away that was what you wanted to do? Was it just stuff you saw at Duke when he came in and worked out?
Yeah, I think there's a combination there. Things that I did see at Duke, things that you can see that are going to take place with just the roster, with some guys out. Understand the more ball handling that we have or playmaking on the floor, it gives you a chance to compete at a high level. And so I thought he could do those things. I've been around different players in this league at different coaching spots that I gave the ball to because I felt that they could be successful with it. So I felt the same about Cooper, and he's done an incredible job. I'm not saying I use the word uncomfortable. I think uncomfortable sometimes can be taken out of content in the sense of understanding that he hadn't done this a lot at Duke. But in the half court, you could see that he can play make and he can run a pick and roll. So I thought in this league we can expand that, and he's done a great job with it.
Yeah, I was just going to follow up. I mean, how much did doing that with Giannis and the success of that, inform we want to do this too?
We're going to continue to do it. We're going to continue to, have him have the ball. We're going to, work. There's going to be good days, and there's going to be days where he's got to be better. But that's just, at 18 and getting the reps, we're starting the reps now so that 2-3 years from now that it's just the norm.
It seems like every year, Jason, we always talk about how stacked the Western Conference is. How do the Mavericks match up against the stacked West again?
The West is deep. It's 14, 15 teams. There are no off nights,
right.
And so you got to be able to compete. And so for us, we'll find out, very early where we stand. But I think again, being able to compete with the best they're all in the Western Conference, and so there are no nights off.
A lot of home games early, isn't it?
Yeah, we start at 5 right out of the chute at home. Right. Our first game is international, and so going to Mexico City and then Houston. So we got to learn to protect home if we want to be one of those elite teams.
You mentioned the other night Nimhard potentially carving a place for himself in the rotation. What dimension do you like that he brings so far?
He's steady, understands how to play the game. Ryan is, a point guard who has set the table. In the games that we have put him in a different rotation spot, he's had success finding guys. Even when we talk about, even misses, we're getting great looks with him running the show. So again, he's steady. He gets us organized, and again, our pace does not drop off when he's at the point guard.
Does he remind you of anybody?
Does he remind me of anybody? JJ never passed the ball, so.
I mean, he's the guy I was going to bring up.
Well, that's what I thought, so that's why I said it for you. JJ was a scorer. But I think they both compete. They both love the competition. I think a little different because we're asking Ryan. I think he can score in this league, and he has shown that. But we're asking him to set the table, and I think the guys really enjoy playing with him.
How refreshing is that where a lot of guards in this league have scoring or shooting as their biggest strength? How refreshing is it to see a guy who has the passing, the floor general as his biggest strength?
Yeah, I think he led the country in assists in college, and so I think you can lean into that. I think his teammates lean into that. But I think it is nice to have someone that is thinking about setting the table. And I think he'll benefit from that in this league because of his passing. He'll have an opportunity to score too because everybody knows that he's looking for his teammates.
Jason, you've been around the game a long time. How have you seen the NBA change over the years?
Yeah, well, I think it starts with the threes. They're shooting 50-plus threes now. That was never the case in the 80s or 90s or even early 2000s. So, but I think also the athlete has changed. They're bigger, they're faster. The IQ guys understand the game. They pick up the game very quickly, and so it's changed for the better. But now you have guys who are 6'8" or 7 feet that can handle and play the point guard and be able to run the offense. So I think it's grown and it's going to continue to keep growing.
Was it a little bit more physical back then?
No, yeah, in some areas, yes, and I think the physicality is starting to come back. We just don't want the physicality to come back where it takes away from the game and puts a player in danger.
Right.
In the 90s, it was a very physical game, a lot of holding. But now I think we're trying to get to a point where you can play defense, and so I think the league has done a really good job of trying to do that.
In the minutes that Anthony Davis and Dereck Lively shared the floor, what are some things that you thought worked well preseason, and what are still some growth areas?
Yeah, I think when you look at AD being able to handle, D-Live being able to play make, I think offensively they're still trying to figure each other out with spacing, but overall, I think defensively both can guard 1 through 5. Both have the ability to change shots, and then rebounding the ball. We believe that we have two of the best that can go get the rebound out of position. And then, again, the pace. D-Live is creating a lot of shots. He won't get the credit because of his rim run, but just giving the opportunity for AD to a lot of times have the mismatch of a smaller picking him up.
I mean, all your regulars played a lot during those 4 preseason games. Just what do you feel like you guys got out of that as a team?
Understanding who we are, our identity, what we stand for, as a defensive mastermind of a team, trying to make sure that we understand everything, all the rotations, next man up mentality, going out there with different lineups, different people, just understanding no matter who's out there, understanding your role.
What is the identity of this team?
Making sure, defense first. Defense is going to be our best weapon. Going out there and showing that we're going to be the aggressor, we're going to punch first, and even if people try to punch first, we're still swinging, no matter if they're hitting us first or we're hitting them.
What do you get a sense of what the focal point will be between now and the start of the season?
Just taking time. You just work out the little kinks. We've been able to watch film, been able to study our own mistakes, our own mess ups, and just learning from them. No matter if it's all of us being on the same page, no matter if it's us scrambling and competing for one another, making sure we have each other's backs, or just picking each other up. No matter if you're making a shot or missing a shot, you're encouraging your teammate.
What are some of the advantages of having that tall ball lineup you guys got?
There's a lot of things you can see on the floor, a lot of different ways you can use mismatches, a lot of different ways we can be strong out on the defensive end and not have to worry about it, no matter if it's me out there, AD out there, PJ or Coop, because we got a bunch of people behind them, making sure that they are up into the ball, giving pressure, and that they're confident.
Frank was obviously around the team last year, but a little bit different role for him this year. What are just the main things he's telling y'all defensively?
He's really just showing us how good and how strong we are and have the capability of being a great defensive team. He's showing us, all the things that instead of taking 3 steps, we could take 1 step. So it's just understanding of where we are, what we're trying to do, and understanding that if whatever we're doing is do it with 100% effort, And if you get it wrong, you still did it with 100% effort.
I asked about the team's focus. What has your focus been, pretty much, off season and then into training camp?
Getting stronger for sure. Being able to make sure that I'm making my free throws, being as efficient as I possibly can down below, and being a passer. I'm trying to explore, different ways that I can get my teammates open so that it can make my job easier, on the offensive end. Finding little ways where I can insert myself in the offensive end while either finding holes underneath the rim or just finding the trail spot. That's either coming down to me shooting three, me playing out of the 5 position, or just finding ways to get my teammates open.
Ever since you was a little kid, it seems like we've been saying the Western Conference is stacked. How stacked is it this year, and how do the Mavericks stack up against it?
It's definitely stacked. You gotta love the competition. You gotta love that. We're in the toughest side of the NBA. So no matter what night it is, you gotta bring your A game. You gotta be as focused and as locked in as possible.
Anybody in particular that's more stacked or as stacked as the Mavericks?
I wouldn't put a star on anybody. Each team is gonna bring their best players, no matter if it's their best player or the 15th player playing. Everyone's an NBA player, so we gotta go up against every team with the same respect and show them that who we are.
The preseason gave you more reps to play next to Anthony Davis against other competition. Just what are some of the things that you're learning about how to effectively play off of him, and what do you think could still grow, like with you two on the floor?
Just understanding, no matter if it's on the offensive side or the defensive side, just understanding where we are. Understanding if he's low, if I'm low, or if I'm high and he's high, just understanding we got each other's backs. And wherever he goes, I'm following the opposite. Understanding that there's going to be probably multiple double teams or triple teams coming to him, and I got to make sure I'm his outlet. I'm going to make sure that, there's times where he's going to get the ball multiple possessions. Look, take a play off. We got you on this one. Trying to make sure that he is able to stay in the game for as long as possible, make things easier on him and allow him to open up for his teammates. He's out there trying to understand what we all are seeing on the floor, and, it's been a great team communication-wise. That's what I'm trying to say.
In what ways have you tried to help Cooper?
No matter if it's talking to the refs, talking to coaches, no matter if it's talking to players to try to make sure we're all on the same page, or even talking to the coaches of just understanding what we want us to do. No matter if we're supposed to cut and you don't cut, but look, if you don't cut, you can still do A through Z. So just understanding that even if it's a set play, you're not a robot out there. You got to still be a basketball player. No matter if you're cutting, no matter if you're setting a screen for somebody or even coming off a screen. Just doing it with a whole lot of effort, a whole lot of just aggressiveness, because it's going to make something open up.
In what ways, maybe off the court or on the court, have you seen Cooper get more comfortable since he arrived?
He's cracking jokes. He's out here, he's in the locker room, he's enjoying himself, no matter if we're in or off the court. He's still the youngest in the gym. He's always trying to crack a joke. He's always trying to, poke fun at the old guys, which is hilarious. But, I make sure he doesn't bring that towards me because I'm not that old. But, he's been great. He seems like he's enjoying Dallas. His family's great. And we're just trying to make him feel as welcome as possible.
Does he have a good joke that you can repeat?
No matter who you is, he's going to be like, all right, Unc. But we don't even worry about that. I'll let him call me Unc, once or twice because of my dad, but we letting it slide anymore. And he's always trying to do a little handshake. He's going to dab you up, and then he's going to, I got you. But it's just bringing that little, just that sort of joy, that sort of just immaturity. It just makes everybody loose. Since we had so many old players on the team now, we got to make sure we keep them young.
All right. Since you first started watching the NBA, how have you noticed the game has changed over the years?
The pace. The pace, what the bigs are doing, how no matter what your position is, you got to be a weapon. No matter if you're on the offensive or the defensive side, you can't be the one man out, because they're going to either bring you out on the defensive side and go at you, or they're just going to leave you naked in the corner. Mm-hmm. So you got to be able to just do anything on the court. No matter whatever coach asks, you got to either go get a rebound, set a play up for somebody, be able to score the ball, or be able to just do whatever it needs to be done. And that's kind of what we've been honing in on, and I think we've done a great job.
The way you're describing Cooper is like you a couple years ago.
Hey, I can't, I call it how I see it. It definitely, I see myself in him. He's definitely just walking around with all smiles, trying to learn, trying to be a sponge, and I'm proud of him. But at the same time, there's no reason you should call me young. I'm only 3 years older than you.
Appreciate it.
One more thing. What did you guys learn about yourself, particularly during the time you had all the injuries? You almost had only just 8 players playing, suited up for games.
Between last season, the year before, you never know what's going to happen. But you got to be able to weather the storm. No matter if it's game 20, game 50, game 70, or even in the playoffs. It's next man up mentality. bring it as much focus and effort, and try to be the best version of yourself, because you never know when your time's going to come, and you never know when the team's going to need you.